I'm Steve, and this is a video about my final project for the Creative Engineering with Mark Rober class. In this project, we combined mechanical engineering and electrical engineering in a device that encourages a good habit or discourages a bad habit. One of my numerous bad habits is neglecting to put away my tools. As I work on projects, I leave tools all over the place, and then eventually I can't find something that I need because it's in a random household location, or it's concealed in a mound of tools and materials on a workbench instead of being in its assigned location. My solution is Mrs. McGreevy, the tool librarian. Mrs. McGreevy keeps track of my tools and allows me to check them out. She has strict limits for the number of tools I can check out at one time, so if I'm at that limit, I must return a tool to get another tool. With help from Mrs. McGreevy, I'm going to learn to return my tools as soon as I'm done using them. So let's see Mrs. McGreevy in action. In this demo, I have set the limit of tools I can check out at one time to just 2. Now that you've seen Mrs. McGreevy in action, let's talk a little bit about how she does what she does. The key technical components are an Arduino controller, an RC522 RFID reader, and an HX711 analog digital converter and amplifier with 4 load cells on the shelf. This RC522 RFID reader comes with a lot of Arduino kits, so you might have one, and it's pretty easy to experiment with and kind of fun, so I'd encourage you to do that. So the shelf becomes a scale by using 4 load cells and this HX711. The load cells are a type of strain gauge in which electrical resistance changes as a material is deformed. So for these load cells, that means if the metal tab that you see there bends a little bit, and it of course returns to its position, then the resistance to a current passing through is going to change. So that change is really small, so the amplifier on the HX711 is needed to turn that into something that the Arduino can do anything with. The software manages a catalog of tools having a weight or an RFID UID for each one. When it reads a tag or it recognizes a weight, then it checks the corresponding tool in or out of the library. So I'm a lifelong software guy, but I haven't done a lot of hardware interfacing, especially in recent years. So one of the most interesting things to me in this project was how the software needs to be tolerant of the hardware. The load cells don't weigh something instantaneously. So you may have seen this yourself, you probably have, when you step on a digital scale. Your scale thinks for a while before it shows your weight. What's happening is that when the weight is placed on the scale, the resistance from the load cells is gradually converging on that stable result. When the software notices that the weight on the scale has changed, you can't just try to find a matching tool because it might match something lighter because that weight is continuing to increase, right? Or decrease. Instead, it has to keep checking that weight until it has pretty much stopped changing, and then it can try to find a matching tool. That can take several seconds, so there's an interesting trade-off between being responsive and being accurate. As part of the advanced topics, I did experiment with CAD and build a couple of models. I didn't end up using them, literally using them, but they were both useful for thinking about how I would build the enclosure and the shelf. And I can definitely see using CAD for future projects, especially if I do begin doing some 3D printing and laser cutting and stuff. My top tip for Tinkercad, which is pretty easy to fool around with, is to learn a lot sooner than I did about the control for hiding an object. Once you learn about that, then suddenly you can make changes to components without having to move a bunch of other stuff out of the way, and you become about 10 times more productive. Obviously, there are a lot of ways to expand on this idea and make it a lot better. My wife thinks that it should electrocute me when I don't return a tool, but I think I will pass on that feature until I have been properly trained by Mrs. McGreevy. I guess finally I want to say that this 30-day class has been a huge inspiration to me. Seeing Mark's process was useful and interesting for sure, but it really got me started with things that I've wondered about but never attempted. And now I feel like I've got a ton of confidence to try things, and I am super excited about doing exactly that. So thanks to Mark, and thanks for watching.